Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to this 90-minute training session with Dan Grech. We will be starting shortly. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome, Christopher, Terry, Mercedes, Lucy, Jarvis, Gustavo, Francisco, Belinda, Amber. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us at BizHack Academy in all our social media channels. We are also live in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome for the ones who joined recently. Rosemary, glad to see you here. Victoria, Christopher, William. Thank you for joining us. We will be starting shortly. Welcome, Romy. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Romy. We actually would love for you to start and make the welcome and introduction, if that's okay. So we're gonna, perfect. We're ready to go when you are. I think we just have to unmute you.
Yeah, I was just speaking and I wanted to make sure you could hear me. That happens all too often. I don't have such a nice background. I have somewhat cluttered office space compared to what you, Dan, and Lilia have with BizHack. I love it. It's good to be able to host this. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Lilia, and all of those of you who have joined us today for this webinar. I'm Romy Bhatia. I am the Executive Director of the Idea Center at Miami-Dade College, a steadfast partner with BizHack since its inception, in fact. So Dan and I go back many years. We've been offering a variety of BizHack training programs to our community at the Idea Center of Entrepreneurs. We have for our participants in Scale Up Miami, others who have come and attended workshops. Unfortunately, even though I am at the office, we cannot have students here. Otherwise, I would love to see all of you and host this. But I want to thank Dan for his partnership. Our center, for those of you who don't know, is a center located in downtown with, fingers crossed, in 2021, we can reopen and welcome you all. It's a place to really have the community gather, the entrepreneurial community, those who are innovators, change makers, looking to really build an idea. And in fact, you may be seeing some of our own rebranding as we're going through that process now. That's what the Idea Center has always stood for, albeit with some now new colors and a little bit more different aesthetics, so to speak. We have been a center here in downtown Miami for the last 5 years, now going on 6 years. So our doors are always open to the entire community and our students at MDC, and learning the skills and tools to be able to grow your venture, to be able to be effective in this digital world that we now apparently spend more time than ever. It is so critical, and particularly when it comes to digital marketing. Something that Dan and the BizHack team know all too well. So we've seen the digital marketing programs and trainings that Dan has done to be highly effective. They have enabled participants to really, take frameworks to learn what one needs to do to be able to be effective in targeting your ads on different platforms, Facebook, Google, etc. But then actually put into practice, right? That's how we all learn. This is the experiential learning we talk a lot about at the Idea Center. So glad that, Dan, you're continuing to serve so many different audiences. I know with the pandemic, you have not slowed down. In fact, maybe have presented new opportunities for you. We, I think, collaborated on some workshops last fall where we also had participants remotely, which we thought was a novel thing. And now it seems like that's the thing. So excited to have you to lead this, and again, to continue partnering with you for providing the kind of knowledge and tools that I think our growing South Florida entrepreneurial community really needs. And thank you, Lilia, as well, for handling all the details and the logistics to make these webinars happen. So thank you again for any of you who are new to the Idea Center. Just check out our website, theideacenter.co. We have some really exciting programs coming up in next year, and also a couple that are actually coming up this month. So with that, Dan, I'm here and happy to answer any questions if anyone has later on, but I'll turn it over to you because I know you have a lot to cover.
Well, thank you. Just before we do get started, could you talk about some of the great programs that you have? And in fact, a lot of business owners are on the call today, on this webinar today. So we'd love to know, I'm sure a lot of them would be interested in hearing what's available.
Absolutely. I didn't want to take up too much time from your agenda, but really, so depending on those of you who are on this on the session, where you are in terms of your entrepreneurial journey, whether you're at the very earliest stages, where we have programs like the Startup Challenge, we're really trying to develop, refine your idea and validate it, to create another program that we have. These programs typically run 8 to 10 weeks. Where you're really working with a prototype, starting to test out your product or service, and seeing if there's a market for it, and close to launching or at the very earliest stages of launching. Those are two programs that the Idea Center does in a cohort model that we've been doing ever since the center opened. We've added some new programs such as Scale Up Miami over the last couple of years in partnership with the TD Charitable Foundation. And that is a program with a focus on early stage small business owners here in Miami-Dade County. So if you have a business in operation generating revenue, at least $50,000 in gross annual revenue, and you are looking to solidify kind of the fundamentals that you need in order to grow your business, reach out to us. You'll find all this information on our website, so I won't go into detail, but Scale Up Miami is where Dan is actually one of the instructors who runs a session on, of course, marketing and customer acquisition and sales. And so we cover operations, customer acquisition, and finances. Those are three key components for any business, no matter what industry. And we're industry agnostic, that you really need to have clear and well-grounded in terms of your strategy. And the outcome of that program is a very clear, defined growth plan to set your business, on the path to the growth that you want to see. Because we know so many of the early stage businesses struggle with that and end up closing. And with the pandemic, even more have closed. And particularly our communities of color, those minority business owners who have not had access to this kind of education and training, we've been able to provide with scholarship support from the TD Charitable Foundation. So that's where the Idea Center is really focused, from the idea stage to prototyping to launch to early stage growth. And there are other now organizations we partner with here in Miami that take you to that next level. We're talking about Series A, B, and C, and then obviously the more we can see Miami flourish with those type of businesses going big, the better. I just finished a session earlier this morning with Andrew Parker of Papa. It's a Miami-grown business that's now, he just secured $18 million in Series B financing. Wow. But he started here, and he continued to grow his business several years ago in 2017. So my message to all of you is that yes, in Miami we can do it. The 305 has talent. It also has a supportive network, which we're a part of, to help you get those skills and resources and tools. And again, we're open to anyone. You don't have to be a registered degree-seeking Miami-Dade college student to take advantage of our programming. And you'll find most of our programming on our website. But reach out to me. I saw some messages on chat. I'm happy to speak offline to tell you a little bit more about our programs, connect you to our program director and others on our team who can help guide you to see what program might work best for you. So the first step is always reach out to us. Let us know where you're at, what your needs are, and if we can either identify something in our own offerings that could be of help to you or connect you to one of our partner organizations. That's what we're about. So, we're here to be the supportive network, and every first and third Wednesday, still virtual, is our 1 Million Cups gathering. So for those of you that want the platform to be able to present your business, get feedback from the community, we have that. And again, many of these activities are a very no to low cost. So we want to make sure the cost is not a barrier to entry to get the tools that you need. So I think I'll leave it at that, Dan, and thank you again for everyone who's tuned in. And if there are any messages and I guess I'll just leave my email address, so that the easiest thing is for you to just reach out to me offline, and then I'm happy to take the conversation. There you go. That's my email. So Dan, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, I just wanted to say that I've been so appreciative over the years of, all the support. BizHack got its start as a course called Market Hack at the Idea Center. This was actually even before your time, but it was,
yeah, that's right.
It's just been really an amazing, journey that we've taken together. One last just quick question before we jump into this. What have you noticed? Small businesses are really imperiled, right? More than 100,000 have closed because of COVID. And you work very closely with a lot of these small businesses. Would you take a second and just reflect on what you're seeing among entrepreneurs, small business owners, and startups, and how BizHack and the rest of us on this call can support those fledgling companies, which are so critical to our economy?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Dan. We surveyed our scale-up cohort, so we've had about 115 small business owners go through the program in the about 18 months we've been running it, to find out. This was earlier on. I think we probably need to do this maybe every other month with COVID. And what was happening was they were seeing obviously the decrease in sales, decrease in revenue, foot traffic, all the things that everyone knows because of our need to be, safe distancing. Some of them found opportunities to pivot, and I think maybe where they had put on hold really having a top-notch website, making sure their social media channels, they were active on them and had a strategy for that. Yes, it was part of their plan. I think what COVID has done is, it's accelerated things, good or bad, trends. And so I think what we saw was that some, and I don't have the exact statistics, but a good number of our businesses were able, knowing that they were facing decrease in revenue, to pivot and become more savvy online. And we've done some workshops on that. Access loans where they were available, the PPP loans or grant funding. We've also done a couple of grant applications to see if we can get support for those businesses. Others that are square right in the middle of hospitality in their core business, or another industry where it's severely impacted, have had to curtail their growth plans. Our goal is to try to make sure whoever is these fledgling businesses is able to somehow pivot and learning what pivoting means or where they can pivot. And we've done a lot of coaching sessions, or limit the amount of their business activity to when they know it's safe to reopen, and we're now in phase of reopening. And so I hate to say it, I think some of the businesses will have closed, and these entrepreneurs may reach out back to us to see if they want to restart or open up a different business. The brick and mortars obviously are struggling, but I think several of our businesses transition, as we did as a center, all of our programming within a matter of days to a virtual setting. So there are opportunities out there. There's funding opportunities. We talk regularly with the Miami Foundation, the Florida Department of Education at the federal level. So what we're trying to do is make sure, if you've been checking our blogs or reading our information or following our newsletter, that we bring that information to you so you at least can access resources that are out there. But apart from resources, the capital, there's also obviously a need to figure out what to do and how to take the next steps. We're here for that. And so that's what we've been doing more on a coaching session rather than a specific program, if that helps to explain a little bit. But these are just difficult times for everyone. So I think the ability to pivot, which is one of the things we focus on in Scale Up, identifying opportunities where, and how to identify them, is where it becomes even more so as a crucial skill. And then, Dan, to your point, the tactical things you do, once you develop, okay, a website's important, it's important to have digital marketing strategy. Now, how are you going to execute? I think the execution is where the big emphasis is for us. So, where we continue to help and support where we can, and I'm hopeful we'll have some more grant funding support that the center can get to help the kind of business owners who are on this call. So keep a lookout for that. Subscribe to our newsletter. Anything we can do to be of help, we're here.
Wow. Well, thank you so much again for coming here today and for all that you've done. I have to say the Scale Up program for a lot of the micro enterprises, 775 to 150K is an amazing resource and gift to the community. So thank you so much.
Sure, and I'll drop in a few notes in chat, Dan, as I think some folks had some questions.
Absolutely, perfect. So we're gonna remove you as co-host now, if that's okay. And
yeah, I'm here, but you can take away the rights.
And sounds good. I'm gonna now start my screen share. Make sure that all of you can see that. Lily, is that looking good? Good?
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to start by with a couple big announcements for us. Today's a big day for us. First of all, I want to introduce our new logo. Woo! So some of you, let's just do that again. Why not? So one of the things that we've done is we've introduced a little bit more of an orange color. This is actually Amazon's orange. It's called the Amazon orange. They have tested every color of button imaginable, and this color orange is the most converting of all of them. And so we switched out the logo to include that orange, and very excited about that. Woo! There we go again. How do I get past you? There we go. And then the other thing that we're doing today, which is really different than those of you who've attended BizHack Live in the past, is we're actually doing a live taping of today's 5 Pillars of Digital Campaigns event. We're gonna use it as a little mini course that all of you are now basically getting a sneak peek of. So we're going to talk a little bit about what live taping means in terms of your participation, because your participation is key. It'll also look a little different than what you're used to if you come to our BizHack Lives regularly. I'm not going to be monitoring the chat like I usually do. Lily is going to be taking care of that, and Lily is also going to be the one working with you guys on soliciting your questions and then having you ask them. As you know, today's partner is the Idea Center. Romy is an extraordinary asset to our community, and particularly to small businesses across South Florida. For season 2 of BizHack, we're very grateful for the South Florida Integrated Marketing Association and the Miami Marketers, who've really helped us spread the word about what we're trying to do. And here's what we have coming up. Next week, we're going to do a roundtable on holiday marketing. We're going to be talking about getting heard in an overcrowded world with Yvette Grove. The week after, on the 18th, we're going to be talking about exponential marketing with Gabrielle and Karina. That's part of the EXO, Exponential Organizations methodology. I'm really excited for that one. I'm going to learn from them. Then I'm doing another session on free tools to find your ideal customer online in partnership with Emerge Americas. And if you're interested, we are offering a season pass where you can sign up at once for all of them, and we would love for you to do that. It also helps support this programming, which does cost a lot of time and money for us to put together. For those of you who are interested in diving deeper, our 5-week award-winning program starts on Monday. This is a accelerated program in digital marketing for small businesses and micro enterprises. So if you are limited on time and budget, and who isn't, this is the course that's built for you. Today, actually, we're going to be talking about the core essential training methodology that we then deliver in the course. So that's this is kind of like a mini course that kind of presages what we then do with you in real time over the course of the 5-week program. We launched a scholarship program for women and entrepreneurs of color. It provides partial funds for the tuition. We've had more than 300 applicants, more than 50 minority or women-owned businesses have gone into the program because of the scholarship, and we have at BizHack given more than $70,000 in scholarships to help fund their participation. This is something I'm so proud of. It is a direct response to COVID, as well as the Black Lives Matter movement and kind of the consciousness raising that came out of that. So women are dropping out of the workforce. Black-owned businesses are failing at a much higher rate than other businesses. This is what BizHack is doing to help support women and professionals of color, to help them in these tough times. And we're very proud of it. If you're interested, you can go to try.bizhack.com/scholarship. We are still accepting applications for the course that starts on Monday. And if you're interested in learning more about the scholarship, we are holding an info session this Friday at 12 noon. We can sign you up for it and get you logged into that, and I can answer any questions you have about the course. So a couple quick guidelines for the live taping. I'm going to give a micro lesson. It's going to be a compressed description of the 5 pillars and other topics. And then at the end of that lesson, at the end of every micro lesson, you're going to see a slide that says your questions, like this. And that your questions slide is your cue to ask your questions. Lilia is going to hopefully line you up. You'll be able to ask your questions. Our request is that you turn on your camera. We'll need those to take your question. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We'll take your questions. I'll answer them. It'll be kind of a back and forth. It'll look really cool that we're talking to each other. And then I will go back and resume the next micro lesson that's part of the course. So you might be asked to unmute in order for you to have your question. Go ahead and say your name and your company, and then ask your question. So to review, make sure your video is on. Lilia will be soliciting questions in the chat, and then you'll ask your question after you say your name and your company. And if you don't, we don't have any questions, we'll just conclude the Q&A, and then we will move on. I may also ask some of you to contribute. I know a lot of folks on this call today, a lot of supporters and friends. So pay attention. I might ask you to participate if we don't have any questions coming organically from the group. All right, so let's get started. Welcome. My name is Dan Grech from BizHack Academy. We provide digital marketing training to small businesses and micro enterprises worldwide. Today's course is BizHack's lead building system. I'm the founder and CEO of BizHack. I was a journalist for nearly 2 decades with NPR, PBS, and the Washington Post, as well as the Miami Herald. While I was at the Miami Herald, I was part 20 years ago of the Elian Gonzalez coverage that won us a Pulitzer Prize. And I was also the head of the news operation at NPR in Miami. In 2013, I lost my job in journalism, like so many of my colleagues, and had to reinvent myself. And I wanted to reinvent myself as a business storyteller. And so when I asked around, what is business storytelling? They said, oh, that's digital marketing. So I said, yeah, that's what I want to learn how to do. And when I started to learn digital marketing, I thought that this would be a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, and I would master digital marketing, apply my storytelling skills in the business sphere, and have a wildly successful career. Well, needless to say, here we are 7 years later, and I'm still learning digital marketing. Digital marketing is one of the most challenging topics I have ever tried to tackle. And I'm a smart cookie. I went to Princeton. I have 2 master's degrees. I got a Fulbright. Part of the reason why digital marketing is so difficult is because a lot of the people who are experts in digital marketing make it intentionally difficult for you to understand them by using jargon, industry terms, or dazzling you with dashboards that don't mean a lot to you. So if you find that you're having trouble learning digital marketing, it's not you, often it's them. And after I learned digital marketing by working for a billion-dollar company and 2 software startups, one of which exited, when we had the exit, I had a choice about what I wanted to do next with my life and my career. And that's when I had decided that I wanted to teach digital marketing to other business owners and mid-career professionals who were not being told how simple it can be. And so we compressed 5 years of learning into a 5-week course, which is our 5-week Digital Marketer's Edge program. I'm very proud of the work that we do and how we simplify and clarify digital marketing. And this course is a taste of the BizHack lead building system that we have perfected over the last 7 years that we've been teaching this. So your key takeaways from this course is, number one, we're going to talk about the foundation of any marketing, whether it's digital or not, which is your business story. We're going to talk about what does your business story mean, where to put your business story online, and why that can be helpful with the next stage, which is the 5 pillars of digital campaigns. These are the pillars that are required to communicate effectively and profitably with current and future customers. The focus here is what we call lead generation. By lead generation, I mean getting folks who you reach out to online to volunteer their contact information, phone and email. Think of it as selling to strangers. Lead generation is about getting folks who had never heard of you to hear about you, trust you, give you their contact information, and ultimately buy from you. And we're going to be using a case study of one business that uses these 5 pillars really effectively to show you how this can be applied to your business. So this is the BizHack lead building system. You have the foundation, which is your business story, the 5 pillars, and then the 9-step process for putting those pillars into action. So again, the business story is the foundation. What is your why? What is the deeply personal reason that you started the business that you started and have chosen the path that you're on? Next, we have the 5 pillars. It starts with setting your campaign objective, identifying your target audience, finding a compelling and irresistible free offer, providing them a thumb-stopping video, a strong visual, and then finally having a compelling message to pair with that thumb-stopping video. The 9 steps. So step 1 is you create your customer personas and you build your target audience. Step 2 is you determine that free irresistible offer. Step 3 is you make that thumb-stopping video. Once you have the audience, the offer, and the video, you're ready to launch your first ad. And your goal here is awareness or video views. You then map out the customer journey, which is what happens after they give you their contact information. analyze and optimize the results of that first ad, build a lead form or landing page to capture leads, and then you launch a second ad whose goal is to have them fill out a form with their contact information at a landing page or lead form inside of Facebook. And then finally, you analyze and optimize that second ad and then try to close the sale of the leads that you generate. This 9-step program is what we go through step by step in our 5-week accelerated program. I want you to meet Megan Hill. Megan Hill is an entrepreneur. For 20 years, she was a lawyer who took some time off to raise 4 kids. And when she tried to go back onto the job market, was only being offered paralegal jobs that were well beneath her level of experience. And so she decided she's going to throw up her own shingle. She's going to start her own business, a book editing and ghostwriting business. It's called Megan Davis Hill Professional Writing and Editing. The problem was she has no website, no social media, and a tiny ad budget. Her solution was to use BizHack's lead building system. And we'll show you how she built out her campaign using the 5 pillars and had dramatic success when she did so. So I'm going to stop sharing now and invite you guys to ask any questions you may have. Hi, Melissa. Please say your name and your company name, and then ask your question.
Okay, hi, how are you? My name is Melissa, and right now I am self-employed. I do digital advertising for small businesses in Colombia. I am from Colombia. So my big question is, what happened if I don't have a video? You were talking just about like a video campaign and the launch video and everything. What happened if we don't start with a video? What happened if we just start with a normal just plain like, for example,
like an image,
Instagram, yeah, like an image, like an Instagram image. What happened if we just started with that?
So great question, Melissa. Thank you. We have worked with more than 600 businesses, and what we have found is that advertising using a video will get you more reach for less money. Now, the reason why is a couple things. Number one, Facebook wants to become a video platform. And so Facebook is preferencing video over static images. And part of the reason they're doing that is because audiences really like video more than static images. The vernacular of digital marketing, the vernacular of online advertising is the video. And so we require everyone who goes through our program to create what we call the thumb stopping video. When you're scrolling and you stop because the video is compelling, that's why you do it. And the reason that we do that is because you get more eyeballs for less money. So you can create Instagram stories ads, but it's not where we recommend you start. Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, your recommendation is really awesome. So I start with video. Okay, should I started posting it in YouTube or just started posting it where and how can I start posting those videos? Because, for example, Colombian markets work totally different from here. So I'm trying to learn how does the marketing here works. So I want to learn all this stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa. That's a great question. And I get a sense that from your question that you might be confusing a little bit organic versus paid advertising and the use of video in organic versus paid. And we're going to address that in the next micro lesson. So stand by for that. Jacqueline, I wanted to invite you to ask a question. Thank you.
Hi. Yep. As you said, I'm Jacqueline. My new startup is Heel Match. We match skilled advanced massage therapists to clients' health needs, and we're based in Miami. And started making videos, and I think I'm conflating, like, the story of the company with kind of because
I think we missed. We might have lost Jacqueline there. Yeah, I think we lost her. So I'm gonna, Lily, is there anyone else who had a question? Hopefully we'll be able to get her back.
Not at the moment.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, let me, oh,
Sorry, where did I leave off? Did you hear that?
would you mind just saying your name and company and then just briefly restate your question?
Yes, I'm so sorry. Is that sound okay?
Yeah, you sound great now.
Okay, so my name's Jacqueline. Company's Heel Match. We're based in Miami, and we match advanced skilled massage therapists to clients' health needs. So we're a two-sided marketplace, and I have made a few videos, and one of them is like the founding story video. One is why clients might be interested, and one is why therapists might be interested. Which is the best place to start for advertising? And also, when we made videos and got feedback, people said it's too long, and it was only 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if it's engaging, it can be longer than that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Jacqueline, for the great question. So I'm going to talk about best practices for video advertising. So my first point is that those videos that you created should almost definitely appear on your website. And in your marketing materials, you can put them on your YouTube channel and promote them on social media organically. But for a video ad, the strong recommendation from Facebook, based on lots and lots of data, is 12 to 15 seconds. Second, your business story, while it's a really good thing to put your why and why you do what you do, really good thing to put on your website, it's not probably the right video for when you are actually running an ad, where you really want to put a video that's supportive of whatever the offer is, and therefore talking about customer pain points is going to be definitely one. So for instance, you have a two-sided marketplace with massage therapists on one side of it. You would probably want to create a compelling video to massage therapists saying, do you not have enough clients for your massage therapy practice? Join for free our network for 3 months, and we will help generate new clientele for you. So you want to generate interest very quickly. And we know that creating a compelling video costs a lot of money and time. And so when we talk about that in the next section, we're one of the coming sections, we're going to actually show you how to do it for free and do it in under 30 minutes. Because these Facebook video ads are not what you're thinking about. They're going to be seen by very few people, and they're really more about testing and learning who your ideal audience is, so that you can then scale your efforts from there. We don't want you to hire a videographer. These are really glorified photo slideshows. So thank you, Jackie. We'll get Jacqueline. We'll dig more into the video soon.
We have Anthony Witherspoon. He wants to ask a question.
Perfect, Anthony. If you could turn on your video. Anthony, you can go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, Anthony.
Hi. Quick question. Wanted to.
Just a quick question. Are you able to turn on your video, or are you not in a place where you can do that?
No, I'm not in a place where I can do that, unfortunately.
Okay, no worries. Just say your name and your company, please.
Yes, I have a mobile restaurant called Spoons, and feature African American cuisine and Caribbean cuisine. My question is, first of all, I'm enjoying your presentation. My question is, I also admired the 5 pillows and 9 steps. So will we get a chance to kind of see that or review those principles again before this presentation is over, or anyway, that information could be ascertained?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're going to be sharing a link to a recording of this, and we're also going to be giving that material kind of in a PDF format so that you can review it at your own. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
No more questions for now.
Perfect. All right. So one of the most common questions I get is where to start. Digital marketing is really intimidating, and our answer is start with a Facebook ad, and I'm going to explain why. So a Facebook ad is a little bit like ballet is to dance or the piano is to music. It's the foundational place where you can build on top. So if you want to be a modern dancer, it's really good for you to know the 5 positions of ballet. If you want to be a guitarist, a great place to start is learning your scales on the piano. And in many ways, we believe at BizHack that the Facebook ad serves a similar role in when you want to learn how to market your company and yourself online. Now, Facebook is one of 3 largest companies worldwide that do digital advertising. Google is actually larger than Facebook, and Amazon is the fastest growing of the 3. Every other digital advertising platform, that's every other website that sells ads, every other mobile app that sells ads, they account for a little bit more than 1/3 of digital ad revenue. This is one slide that explains the precipitous decline of newspapers worldwide. It's because all the money in advertising that used to go from local businesses like yours to newspapers, they're now getting transferred largely to Facebook and Google. Now you might say Google is larger, why not start with Google ads? And my answer to that is, well, Google ads were built by Google engineers for Google engineers. It is a much harder platform to learn. Facebook came later, and in many ways, I think they built an easier and in some ways better mousetrap. So it's a better place to learn. It's a better learning environment. And then you can apply those learnings to the Google ad platform. You can also use it for Twitter, for Snapchat, for LinkedIn, for TikTok, all the other ad platforms that are out there that are independent. Facebook, which also has Instagram, Messenger as part of it, you can use that knowledge to apply it to other digital ad platforms. So when we talk about Google, I just want to be clear that we're talking about Google more than just search ads, which is what people typically think about. But you can also run ads on YouTube, in email, Gmail, and what's called the Google Display Network. The Google Display Network are thousands of websites that Google is partnered with to display their ads. Google is the #1 search engine, and it's the sort of entry point to the internet for most people. It offers unparalleled reach. Facebook is a little bit of a different story. Facebook is a social media platform. They own Facebook, obviously, but they also own Instagram, Messenger, and they have also partnered with a whole bunch of mobile apps and mobile websites, which they call the Audience Network. And you currently cannot advertise on WhatsApp, but it is coming. And you can have people who click on your ads message you on WhatsApp. So they've begun to buy and integrate WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger into the Facebook advertising platform. So whenever I say Facebook, I mean Facebook, Instagram, Messenger. I mean all of these platforms. There is no such thing as an Instagram ad. It is an ad built in Facebook Business Manager that is then placed on Instagram. This is a big misconception. Now, a lot of people say, well, I can boost posts on Instagram. Isn't that an ad? And no, that's not what we're talking about when we talk about an ad. An organic post, as all of you guys know, is a status update. And when it is a business that's providing the status update, you can put it there and people who follow you will see it, or at least you think they'll see it. But in fact, over the years, Facebook's organic reach, or the number of people you reach for free with a status update, has been in free fall. Back in 2012, the heyday of Facebook organic, you could get to 16 people out of 100 who liked your page. Today, you are getting to less than 2 people who like your page on Facebook whenever you post organically. So if you have 1,000 people who like your page, only 20 will see your organic post on average. This is why organic is not really feasible in Facebook. So a lot of people say, well, why don't we boost it? And what boosting does is it takes you back in time to 2012 level reach. So if you spend $10 or $20, you basically are getting to those followers of yours that normally in the past would have seen it for free, now you have to pay for it. But it is not generally effective as a lead generation technique. And the reason why is what's shown on this slide, which is the boosted post has much more limited capabilities around audience targeting than the ad. And it does not cost a cent more. So the ad is the same price for reach as the boosted post, but with much more specific targeting capability. And as we'll talk about when we talk about pillar 2, the audience targeting is the most critical aspect of success in all digital marketing, and particularly social media and Facebook advertising. So we're using the Facebook ad, not saying that it's the best or only place to advertise, but rather as a learning tool, okay? So I'm not advocating for Facebook advertising as anything more than a great place to start to learn. And then almost every business has to expand into Google. Often you have to expand into Yelp. Maybe you'll want to expand into TikTok or Twitter. That depends on your business, but every business needs to have a Facebook and Google advertising strategy. It's become necessary to survival in the 21st century. Now, we are living during difficult times, during an economic downturn. I'm recording this right now at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in the fall of 2020. And there is a tendency right now for small businesses to stop everything, hoard their cash, and just hunker down and survive. Now is not the time to stay silent. When times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. That was said by old white guy Bruce Barton, who was one of the foundational minds of modern advertising. And this was repeated at a Microsoft Global Advertising Summit. This is really not the time to stay silent. That was actually May of 2020. So I'm going to now open it back up to your questions. If you have any questions about the idea of what is a Facebook ad and using a Facebook ad as a learning tool and as a place to start.
We have a question for Jimena Tejada. If you're able to unmute yourself and turn on your video. And also from Jarbas Besnos.
Perfect.
And Michael Pearson as well. If you guys can turn your videos on.
All right, there's Jarbas. Jarbas, if you could turn on your video and then say your name and company, and then feel free to ask your question.
Hey, Dan, sorry, I cannot start the video. There's some failure here. But basically, what's the most effective way to advertise on Facebook, if it is custom audience or lookalike audience?
Great question, Jarvis. We'll talk about this more when we talk about building your audience. But generally speaking, what a custom audience is it's somebody who has interacted with your social media, your website, or you have a customer list, the contact information for them. That's the definition of a custom audience. And because they know your brand, a custom audience is the most effective and efficient audience to target in advertising. Otherwise, if you're dealing with a core audience, which is an audience you build by hand in Facebook, or a lookalike audience, which is a cold audience that's similar to one of those custom audiences, those are strangers. Those are people who've never heard of you or your brand, and therefore it's more expensive to acquire them. Thank you for your question, Jarvis. Michael.
Hey there, Dan. Thanks so much for this. The basic question that I have is, so my name is Michael Pearson, and I work for the Alliance for Aging. And the basic question is, do these principles that you're talking about now and you will continue to talk about apply to, obviously they're going to apply to small businesses, for-profit, B2B and B2C, but do they also apply to nonprofits?
It's a great question, Michael. So you may have noticed that my background is more than a decade at NPR, and I was very active in fundraising for NPR when I was a news reporter and editor there. And my wife is the CEO of a nonprofit here in Miami. everything we're talking about today is 100% relevant to fundraising, volunteer recruitment, and program participant recruitment for nonprofits. In fact, I do specialized training for nonprofits, and what I tell nonprofits, and I mean it, is nonprofit marketing is more challenging than for-profit marketing, because often with nonprofits, the people who are funding your program, donors, are not the same people who are benefiting from the services you provide. So you actually have a two-sided marketing challenge. In BizHack, the people who pay for my services are the same people who benefit from the course. So I have an easier challenge than you do. This all goes down to the most fundamental question I get. Often I'll ask people ask me about B2B marketing, right? I sell to businesses, not consumers. The bottom line is I believe that marketing is people to people. And whether they're the purchasing agent at a Fortune 500 company, some individual looking to buy a pair of shoes, or a potential donor, the principles of marketing and the BizHack lead building system are exactly the same. Thank you for your question. Did we have one more, Lilia?
No, we don't at the moment.
Okay, perfect. Great questions, guys. By the way, you make my life so much easier when you ask questions. So those of you like Amy and Bob and others that I see on this that I know personally, you're doing me a favor if you ask a question. It's really helpful to me. It makes the program more interactive. And it looks like Jerome Hutch, would you like to ask a question, my friend? Not sure. You're on mute, by the way.
Okay, thank you. When you're doing a digital ad buy, as example, on Facebook.
Would you mind just introducing yourself and your company first? And by the way, Hutch is partnering with me next week on an amazing panel discussion. So thank you for that, Hutch. But go ahead.
Right. Well, you know, we've been really happy to partner with BizHack. And I know, as you talked about the scholarship program earlier, which, you know, obviously was kind of the genesis of us getting together. But the question that I'm asking, and hello to everybody. I'm seeing some people saying hello on chat. So I'll get to it. I see you guys. Hello.
Say your name and your organization first.
Oh, I'm sorry. My organization is called the International Career and Business Alliance, which
I'm sorry. Just say your name first.
Jerome Hutchinson Jr. I'm the founder, chief serving officer for ICABA, which is the International Career and Business Alliance. And so basically we help entrepreneurs and professionals of color to enhance their career, business, and life. And part of we're doing that with partnerships with BizHack Academy and getting this great training and knowledge that that's being delivered today. So I'm sorry, I'm so excited, Dan, I had to slow up. But I appreciate you pumping the brakes here. But my question is, when in doing a Facebook campaign, as an example, what are some of the benchmarks that you should measure? And so give you the problem. So this is where the benchmark is I'm coming at. So we got a bunch of clicks for people driving them to a webinar. And literally we had in one situation with a webinar, almost 1,300 people who visited the Zoom page where you would register, and then 12 of them actually registered. And so that's a little bit less than 1%, you know, and I don't know if that's necessarily in line or just as I'm looking at it going like way out of line, right?
Yeah. So Hutch is asking a really critical question, which is how do I measure success when I'm running a digital campaign? And that goes back to your campaign objective. So Hutch's campaign objective was not to get people to visit a registration page on Zoom. It was to get people to show up for an event he's hosting. So the first step is to get them to click to the page. The next step is to get them to register. And then the next step, which you didn't mention, is to get them to actually show up.
Right.
And so if you're going to measure the success of that campaign, you must measure it based on what is that kind of bottom line result that you're looking for, which is attendance at the event. I want to just say that I have experienced many campaigns similar to yours where I'm driving sometimes thousands of people to a registration page and only a few register and none of them show up. Is that a successful campaign? No. And when you're working with a partner on that, you don't fire the partner. You say to them, as a business owner, what I care about is butts in seat. And so let's work together to figure out what are we not doing with the landing page and then with the follow-up after they register to get them to actually show up. And let's figure that out on our next campaign. So that's the idea of analyze and optimize. So thank you very much for your question, Hutch.
Can I follow up?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a benchmark for, like, for instance,
Yes.
like a direct mail campaign? If you do a direct mail campaign and you get between 1% to 3%, typically you've done well.
Yes.
Closer to 3% is great. For a digital campaign, the number of visitors is one metric. Those who actually register is another metric. And then, as you said, then the ones who actually show up. What does that metric kind of look like between those who visit and those who actually register that you should be striving for?
Yeah. So obviously this is super dependent on what industry you're in and how good your audience targeting is.
Mm-hmm.
But one rule of thumb that I like to use is the 110-1 metric. So if 100 people react to your ad, 10 of them should become leads and 1 of them should become a customer. So
10% and 1%. 10% react, 1% actually become customers.
Exactly. So if we were going to translate that to your ad,
120 should have registered,
and then maybe 1 or 2, registered, attended, and then maybe 1 or 2 would have become an actual customer.
Mm-hmm.
Or 10 to 12, depending on how qualified they are and so forth. It depends also on how many steps there are in the process. So for instance, if you can eliminate steps, those conversion rates go up. But I do find that a good, like, rough starting point metric is the 100 to 10 to 1. In other words, 10% of people will take the next step in the customer journey.
Okay. Well, we did have pixels on the Zoom page. So we're analyzing that right now. And I'll share something. You probably already know this, but I don't know if everybody's run into it. Facebook is now, right after this last campaign, they sent me an email and they've scheduled a review call to review the campaign and give us some feedback in terms of how we may enhance and optimize what we've been doing. So I think that's a new thing that they're doing. So just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. You're very lucky that a human being from Facebook reached out to you. That doesn't happen very often. It means you're spending money with them. If you don't spend money, you never hear from them and you never reach them.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Hutch. Good to talk to you.
Same here.
All right, we're going to move on to the next section of the presentation. Thank you for the great questions, guys. All right. The foundation of all digital marketing is your business story. And this is especially true if you're a small business or a micro enterprise. So let's talk about what we mean by your business story and how to craft it. So as we discussed in the first lesson, others make digital marketing too complicated, especially if you're a small business with limited time and limited budget. This is a map created by Gartner, one of the top think tanks worldwide, on digital marketing, and every single node and hub and line on this map is an actual specialization within the digital marketing field. So you might understand when you look at this why digital marketing is so complicated. The analogy I use is that of a spelunker in a cave. When you go to YouTube and you look up some topic in digital marketing, what you are is you are illuminating one tiny piece of a large cave with a flashlight. You have no idea how big the cave is. You have no idea whether it extends for many acres or just it's a tiny cave. You are in the dark. And when you try to study digital marketing by picking nodes on this map and studying those in depth, that is the equivalent of being a spelunker in a cave with a flashlight. What BizHack attempts to do with our approach, with our methodology, is turn on the lights in the cave. And the way we do that is by simplifying digital marketing to these 5 words. Digital marketing is telling your business story online. We call this concept the communications diamond. So why do we call it a diamond? Because a diamond, depending on who looks at it, shines a different facet. So depending on who your audience is, your channel, your objective, your target, your offer, a different facet of your business story will be highlighted. But it's the same business story no matter what communication platform you're on or who you're communicating to. That core, that essence must be consistent across all of your marketing. You cannot have a Twitter feed that looks like a schizophrenic cousin to your Facebook feed. That doesn't work. And the way you figure that out and solve for that, since different people might manage your Facebook and your Twitter, is by telling your business story online and defining it in a clear way. So the reason we tell stories is because people are hardwired to respond to a moving story. They'll motivate your target audience to action. If you want to raise money, whether it's from a bank or an investor, you need effective storytelling. And identifying and telling that story of your business is difficult for most business owners because they don't tend to think about their business in terms of a story. They tend to think of it in terms of, I want to make a lot of money and I don't like having a boss. And so what really takes a lot of work and digging and uncovering to help a business owner tell their story. But everything you do online, as we said, must be aligned with your story of me, your why, your business story. So what is your business story? It's a story that communicates the mission, vision, and values of your organization or company. Every organization has a business story. And if you don't define your business story, your competitors will do it for you. So you have to do this work. Now, we love the Simon Sinek methodology of start with why. So if you're trying to figure out what your business story is, we recommend you start with why. And there's a great TED Talk. He's actually talking about leadership, but it applies to marketing almost equally, about talking about the why you do what you do. Now, that's the telling your business story. Now, why do you do it online? Well, there are more ways than ever to connect to potential customers, to connect to strangers. Radio, TV, your physical location, mail. It has limited reach, and especially during the era of COVID-19, when a lot of people are quarantining at home, marketing online has become essential. So once you've figured out your business story, your story of why you do what you do, where do you put it online? Well, the first place is on your Facebook business page. You'll notice that you can activate something called your business story, and it actually allows you to articulate your business story in a compelling way. So that's your Facebook business page. You guys probably all know that on your LinkedIn profiles, there is a paragraph before you get to the resume items, which talks about who you are and why you do it. And that's a great place to put your business story, your why. And then finally, I really believe your business story should appear on your website, in a video welcoming people, or in the text box like this. So put it on your website as well. So I'm gonna open it up again to questions. If anybody has questions about the foundation of the business, their marketing effort, the business story.
Alice McLaughlin had a question before, so if you're able to unmute yourself and turn on your video, Alice.
Hi, Alice.
Hey, how are you guys? Let me see if I can turn video on. It's always a challenge when you're in different places. So great seeing you, great to chat and get refreshed, you know? And my question was, what about for security license businesses or professions or any regulated? It doesn't need to be securities, but it could be other regulated professions when you can't really procure certain things so directly.
Yeah, So if you're in a business where you are limited by what you can do and what you can say, I'm a strong believer that talking in a personal level about why you love the business you're in, why you do what you do, is incredibly powerful. A lot of professional service providers, I'm talking about accountants, bankers, lawyers, of course, don't do a good job of talking about why they do what they do. And I'll give you a hint, saying that I do it because I like to make money and have a comfortable lifestyle is not a compelling why. Why do you like doing the work you're doing as opposed to all the other types of work you could be doing? And when you personalize it and you can make it about the story of me, it does protect you in certain settings. Now, granted, there are going to be situations where this approach is totally inappropriate. But what we're really talking about right now is the foundation of your agency or your law firm or your business's marketing efforts. And so this is really the starting point for communications. But like a diamond, you know, you're going to have different facets you're going to highlight in different situations. Alice, thank you for the question.
Thank you.
I saw that Susan Howell had a question. Susan, if you wanted to turn on your microphone, on your video, and we'd love to tackle it.
Yeah. It says that
so if you're able to start your video, you can. Otherwise, I can take Jacqueline, and then you can try to turn your video. Are you able to turn your video on, Susan?
no, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead and say your name.
Hold on, I think, okay.
Hi,
So my question is, Dan, on the part where you say to, do something personal about your business.
Did you say your name and your company?
Oh, I'm sorry, Susan Howell, Money Maestra. And for the part where you make something personal about your business, what do you think about, I've seen it done both ways on different websites, about putting a short video right there at the front where you're talking to your audience, or do you think it's better to do still?
I'm a huge fan of putting a video front and center where you're speaking to your audience about why you do what you do. And, it's amazing that you're asking this question, because you are a great example of how you can leverage just a first-person, amateurly built video to get great results. We recommend when you advertise that you keep the videos really short, 12 to 15 seconds. Well, when you went through the BizHack program, you created a minute-long video where you were speaking directly into the camera and from the heart, and it had an extraordinary response from your audience. And in many ways, we like the Picasso saying where you need to learn the rules so you can learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. And that was a great example. Susan understood what she was doing. She understood why she was doing it, and she knew her audience better than any algorithm or recommendation that a Facebook algorithm would make. And she was right. So it's great for you to test that and then take that video and put it on your website. If if you've proven that video works through your ad, as you have that video become a regular feature of what you do.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
And, Jacqueline Tibbett. You can unmute yourself.
There we go. So again, it's Jacqueline. Heel Match is the business, and I definitely know that the story has different sides, like the diamond, and I'm definitely struggling with how to unite them. I have someone who has expertise in some of those railroad parts of digital marketing, not so much the storytelling and the branding and messaging. So do you have recommendations on where to get advice and review from experts to make those stories really seem like the diamond? And also for me to even clarify sometimes what the core of our story is.
Yeah. So what I would recommend, Jacqueline, is that you go through a process like what I'm about to do with you right now. So you remind everybody what your business is.
Heel Match is a marketplace where we pair expertise massage therapists with clients who have health issues.
Great. So you're dealing with folks who need therapist help, and you're matching them with therapists. It's a two-sided marketplace. Anybody who knows who's tried to build a two-sided marketplace, it's a really hard and expensive thing to do when you want to build a two-sided marketplace, because you have two audiences you're trying to bring together. If you can make it happen, it's a beautiful thing. So my question to you, Jacqueline, is why is it important to you to help heal people through this business? Why is connecting people to therapists important to you?
I'm a therapist myself, and I didn't invest in a training that would give me an extreme amount of skill, because I knew the clientele wouldn't be there for me. I can make just as much or more money doing spa massage than a very specific pain relief style, even though that's the style that cured my pain.
And tell me about that. Talk about the pain that you experienced and how the work that you're doing healed you.
I had chronic hand pain for years, and I was a therapist, and I didn't actually know that this style existed. There's 300, just a little side, there's 300 modalities out there and counting, and most people know Swedish and deep tissue. It took me years to get connected to an expert, and once I did, he helped me like cure that pain. I did start taking courses with him, but I still haven't invested like that $10,000. His other students are not making any more money than I am doing or was doing spa work. So the physical pain is gone.
Yeah, can you talk about how your life has changed because you found a modality that cured your pain?
Well, it's actually relieves stress. I know that anytime I have issues that crop up, I know how to handle them.
And talk about how your life is different now, that you can manage the pain better and that you know what to do, whereas before you were kind of lost.
Right. So I spend less time searching for the answers because I know where to find them and how to find them. If something comes up, and in general, I get to enjoy my life more. And I don't wake up, especially like I don't wake up stiff and hurting.
Yeah.
I wake up with more energy.
So let me just show you, that's beautiful. And what I'll do is I'll quickly tell Jacqueline Tibbetts' story of me, and then show you how to pivot that into the story about her business. So, and by the way, I've never met Jacqueline before now. I think you can confirm that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is the first time we're speaking and first time I'm learning about your business. So you would say something like, hi, my name is Jacqueline Tibbett, and I used to wake up every morning with pain. It was a debilitating pain that made it difficult for me to go throughout my life and live the life I wanted to. It hurt my relationships, and it made some days excruciating. And I spent years searching for a solution and going through dozens of different modalities to try to heal that pain that I was experiencing. And then I finally found a relief, a modality that healed my pain and gave me my life back. And I could make a ton of money being a spa therapist and giving Swedish or deep tissue massages, but I've chosen to start my business to give the gift of a pain-free life to you. And so please join me and my group of therapists who are here dedicated to solve your pain issues and give you your life back. So I made that up on the spot. There's probably lots of elements of that are missing, but that's what you can do. That's what your business story is, and how you can powerfully communicate why you do what you do. You are setting aside much easier ways to make money. You could be a therapist yourself. You could do all sorts of other things, but you've chosen to create a two-sided marketplace to serve a large audience of people with this pain relief therapy. And I love this as an analogy because when we talk about marketing, we talk about relieving customer pains. And so we are literally talking about relieving customer pains with your business. You have a fabulous business. If you just can find a way to get yourself in front of audiences with pain, they're going to respond to your message. So thank you very much for sharing your personal story.
That was beautiful. Where do I get the recording?
You'll all get it. Well, thank you guys very much for the kind words.
Thank
all right,
you.
I'm going to share my screen for the next We will run a little long, as you probably have figured out. Thank you for your patience, since this is a recording that we're going to be using for a mini course. I'm going to stop your video. All right. So now we're going to get into the pillars. Pillar number one of any digital campaign is the campaign objective. And I want to be very clear right now that when we talk about a campaign objective, we're not simply talking about the campaign objective inside of Facebook. This is the first thing that you see in Facebook when you're starting a campaign. And we tend to recommend at BizHack that you use the traffic, the video views, the lead generation, or the message objectives when you're getting started. All of them are in the consideration. But even before you pick the specific objective or action that you want your audience to take with that specific ad, you need to know what your larger objective is. If you're running an event, the objective is to get people to show up. If you're selling a product, your objective is to get them to buy. And so, though every campaign has a micro objective that is specific to that campaign, you as a business owner must always keep in mind the larger objective of the campaign, which always has to be bottom line oriented. So we are going to recommend as step number 4 that you run a video views objective ad. Now, why would you run a video views objective ad? Because video views are the cheapest way to get eyeballs to your video, to your ad. And so Facebook makes it much cheaper to reach people through a video views ad than, for instance, a lead generation ad where you're asking them for their contact information. So you start with a video views ad, and you're not going to get your bottom line objective through a video view. If somebody watches your video, that doesn't mean that they are going to buy from you. It's the first step in selling to a stranger. So you create a customer map where the first step is they watch a video. The next step is they give you their contact information. The next step is they talk to a sales rep, and then they buy. So again, when you're running a Facebook ad, keep in mind the larger objective and then what phase in the buying process they are through the ad that you're running. One of the really common things I hear is our students will say, our businesses will say, I just ran a video views ad and nobody clicked on my link and went to my website. And I said, that's because you told Facebook's algorithm to optimize for getting people to watch the video, not for optimizing to get them to click to your website, which is the traffic objective. So many people have fired agencies because they had an ad whose goal was to get them to watch a video and their objective was to get people to go to a website. And it's schizophrenic. As a business owner, you need to understand what phase in the marketing journey and the buyer journey they're in and what the campaign objective of the ad is. So there are all sorts of different objectives that you can have for an ad. You could want to build awareness or get likes to your page or increase engagement of your followers. Or as we said, drive traffic to your website or a landing page or get them to download an app or get them to actually make a purchase online or to get them to give you their contact information. Whatever objective you pick is what Facebook's algorithm will optimize for. So Facebook is relying on you to tell them what you want. And this is the single most important decision you're going to make. It's a simple click of a button, but if you don't pick the right objective, you're not going to achieve your larger goals. Again, these are the 4 recommended campaign objectives when you're getting started: traffic, video views, lead gen, and messages. We recommend your first ad to strangers, whether it's a lookalike audience or a core audience that you build yourself, go be the video views objective. And then the follow-on ad, a retargeting ad where you collect folks who watched your video and then give them an offer and a second video, that we recommend lead gen, messages, or traffic. So your first ad is just to get them to watch a video to learn about you. It's a brand building and awareness exercise. That's a video views ad. And then that second ad is about lead generation. And that's where traffic to a landing page, lead generation to a lead form, or messages to Messenger or WhatsApp is a really ideal objective for that second follow-up ad. You've probably heard jab, jab, punch. The video views are the jabs, and the traffic, lead gen, and messages is the punch. That's when you're really going for the jugular to get the sale. One of the things we like to say also is you don't get married on the first date. So if you go and you meet somebody for the first time and within 2 minutes of meeting them, ask them to marry you, which is basically to buy your product or service, they're going to say no and slap you across the face. But if you have a dating period, a get to know you period, that's when you actually will get them to marry you, close the sale. So Megan, for her follow-up ad that we're doing, picked the lead generation objective. Just as a reminder, Megan was the former lawyer who had started a ghostwriting business, and she had created a video, had people watch it, and then retargeted or targeted folks who would watch that video with this lead generation ad. And her goal was to get them to put their email address and phone number. This is a form that Facebook provides in the Facebook platform, and it comes pre-filled out if Facebook has that information about you. So it's a very powerful lead objective. It's also very expensive. So I'm gonna take your questions now.
Mr. R had a question before, so if you're able to unmute yourself, he said he's not able to turn on his camera.
Okay. So we're talking here about campaign objective. Pillar number 1.
Mr. R, are you still here to ask your question?
Anybody else have a question?
Not yet. Though his question is, what budget should someone begin with on Facebook ads?
So the question is, what budget should someone start with on Facebook ads? It's a great question. We recommend that when you're doing the video views objective, that you start with a budget of about $50. This is a test and learn budget. We're not necessarily suggesting that you're going to generate a ton of leads or business or bottom line results with it. This is enough money to get your ad in front of enough people that you can actually figure out if the ad is working and what audience is responding to it, how much of the video are they watching, and so forth. So the test and learn budget for a video views is about $50. And then we recommend once you have enough people watching a video, they call this a through play. It's the watching the entirety of the video. You then retarget, or you target folks who watched that video with a follow-up ad. This is something that Facebook allows you to do through its custom audience feature. The technical term for this is retargeting. That's what marketers call this approach. And you can retarget people who watched your initial video, and you then create a second ad, and then in that second ad, you are driving them to a lead form or a landing page or to message you. And we recommend roughly a budget of about $100 for that follow-up ad. Now, $150 is not necessarily going to generate leads and sales for you, although often we do find with our businesses that it does. But what it will do is it will get you started in the test and learn process that is an iterative process of running ads and then learning from them and running another ad. We're going to talk next about your ideal target audience, and these ads are a great way to test audience receptivity to your message. And so that's why we recommend a small budget at first, because you don't need to spend a lot of money on Facebook to get thousands of impressions, reaching sometimes thousands of people, and to see whether or not they actually watch the video in its entirety. And if they don't, you know your targeting or the messaging on your video was off. Thank you for your question.
We don't have more questions so far.
So Lilia, if you could just say, my name is Lilia with BizHack, and we have this question, and then just read it again.
Great. Well, we do have a question from Jimena Tejada, but she's not able to unmute herself. So I will restate the question. Let me find it. So my name is Lilia Pozos, and my question is, should you recommend having a LinkedIn profile for small businesses?
Would you mind restating the first question, the one that I already answered, and then if you could then go ahead and ask that second question as well.
So my name is Lilia Pozos, and I would like to know what budget you should begin with on Facebook ads.
Perfect. And go ahead and ask the second.
And then the other question is that if you recommend for a small business to have a LinkedIn page, because someone told me that's not even a good to have.
Yeah, I think that's bad advice to not have a LinkedIn company page. I strongly recommend that you have a LinkedIn profile and a LinkedIn company page. Now you might say, well, I'm not a B2B business. My customers don't come to me through LinkedIn. But you have to understand that if you're hiring anyone or partnering with anyone, they are going to look you and your company up on LinkedIn. It also takes less than 30 minutes to create a personal, a business profile on LinkedIn, and then opens up the possibility that you can actually advertise using it as well. So I strongly recommend that you do create a company page. There's one other really good reason for this. When you create your LinkedIn profile and you list your company as where you work, the only way to get that icon to look like your company logo is if you have a company page for it. Otherwise, it's a grayed out icon that looks terrible. It looks unprofessional. It makes you look small, like a small business, and you do not want to do that. So all you have to do is create a company page, and then your logo will show up in the resume portion of your LinkedIn profile. I see Kerline Jules, who's going to be one of our panelists next week. Kerline, if you want to go ahead and if you can turn on your video, that'd be great. And go ahead and say your name, your company, and ask your question.
Hi, Dan. Kerline Jules, founder of Jules Management Group, which is a boutique branding and digital marketing agency. I'm also a BizHack alum. So my question to you, Dan, going back to the budget, one of the things I've been really struggling with understanding is when to use the daily budget versus the lifetime budget. So I'm very curious, your thoughts on the best practices on when to use either or.
It's a great question. So Facebook gives you the option of lifetime budget, which is the budget for the entire length of the campaign, or daily budget, which is I want to spend this amount of money each day that the campaign is running. Now, Facebook has given guidance that they call the Power 5. And the Power 5 are the 5 ways to leverage Facebook's machine learning for your campaigns. And one of the Power 5 is something called campaign budget optimization. And what it says to you is set a lifetime budget and let Facebook's algorithm decide when and where the ad appears. And so that would be my recommendation to you is rather than saying, I want to spend $10 per day over 5 days, I would recommend instead that you spend $50 over 5 days and give Facebook's algorithm the power to choose when that money is spent. Because it might be that on a Monday, your target audience is just not as active, but they're really active on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And Facebook will therefore put more budget into Tuesday and Wednesday than into the Monday. The other thing is you can accelerate the expense so that the budget gets spent faster. And so the learning comes quicker, and you can then figure out if the ad is actually working and then double down on it or change and optimize. Thanks for the question, Kerline.
Awesome, thank you.
And I think we had another question come up.
Jarvis has a question, so if you can, there he goes.
Hey Dan, Jarvis Business again with FunClick Photo Booth. We actually met at Offercraft. We had some conversations back then. FunClick Photo Booth, we pivot into digital photo booths now, virtual photo booths because of the COVID. Do you recommend investing on an automated posting platform such as Hootsuite?
So Hootsuite will help you with automating your organic social media. And there are other platforms, and Hootsuite may be also able to help you automate and schedule your Facebook advertising. I strongly recommend, especially when you're getting started and dealing with small budgets, that you use Facebook's own business manager scheduling tool. So Facebook does allow you to schedule ads inside of their tool. You can even schedule organic posts inside of their tool. The challenge with Hootsuite and a lot of the other businesses is Facebook doesn't particularly like you using them, and they make it hard for Hootsuite to keep up with all of the technology changes. And so a lot of times what I have found is that the automation breaks, often through no fault of Hootsuite's or Buffer or the other programs. Or, you know, it'll break for LinkedIn and it'll work for Facebook and Instagram. And then you're kind of like, well, that doesn't really help me. I now have to do this manually. So generally speaking, when it comes to the primary platforms, Facebook and Google, I recommend using the internal tools that they have, especially when it comes to paid advertising.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Jarvis. Nice to see you.
Likewise.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Now, every pillar in a house is important. It holds up the roof. But if there is a pillar that is the most important of all of them in digital campaigns, it's your target audience. How to identify your target audience and find them online. So the key to all marketing, whether it's digital or regular, or digital or non-digital, is to know your audiences. And this process of knowing your audiences is called segmentation. Segmentation is dividing up those folks who are most likely to buy your product or service into different groups. And then you pick one of those groups, one of those segments, one of those personas to then target with your specific ad. So I'll give you an example of segmenting millennials. Now, everybody, when they think of millennials, frankly, they think of the hip-ennial. The hip-ennial is the make the world a better place, the stereotypical millennial who's kind of rah-rah and trying to change the world. And that actually represents less than 1/3 of all millennials. So when we tend to paint millennials with a broad brush, we actually are only talking about one of 6 segments, and that's the largest segment, but it doesn't even represent the majority of millennials. So for instance, if you added up millennial moms and old school millennials, anti-technology millennials who hate any kind of computer or any kind of social media, they actually represent more millennials by number than the hip-ennial that we tend to think of when we think of millennials. So a lot of folks will say, hey, I really target small business owners. And I said, well, what kind of small business owner do you target? You need to do a segmentation of what you mean by small business in order for you to be successful. It's not enough to just say small business. So for instance, with BizHack, we tend to hyper serve a couple of small business segments. One of them are home service companies. Another one, you know, like pest control, roofing. Another one are dentists and veterinarians, especially independently owned ones that don't accept insurance. Another one are communications and PR agency owners, especially boutique or micro agencies or solo consultants. So those are examples of 3 different segments that BizHack targets with our training. Now we accept nonprofits, B2B, all types of other different small businesses and micro enterprises. But those are the 3 that we have found consistently get the best results and make the most money through our training. And therefore, we particularly target those folks. And in the case of agencies, we've partnered with PRSA, the Public Relations Society of America. We do trainings with lots of local chapters and for their national organization. And we use that as a way to get folks aware of us and ultimately into our 5-week program. Now, there are 4 ways to subdivide or segment audiences. Where do they live? Who are they? That's age, gender, income. What do they do? That's behavior. And then why do they do it? That's psychography or psychographic. So what do they do can often mean things like what websites do they visit? When they visit a website, do they click on this button or that button? Do they engage with the post? All of those are examples of behavioral targeting criteria. A lot of what we call retargeting is based on behavioral factors, such as visiting your website. So you can retarget visitors to your website or retarget people who have engaged with your social media on Instagram or Facebook. And then the why is really what Facebook particularly specializes in, which is interest-based targeting. So they tend to like pages like this, or they tend to have interests that look like this. And you can figure that out through Facebook by what pages people tend to like and what kind of behaviors they tend to have, what kind of posts they tend to respond to, what type of groups they belong to, and so forth. Now, Google and Facebook have revolutionized all 4 types of ways to create audiences, but particularly the behavioral and psychographic targeting. Now, where they live, who are they, what do they do, and why? You can combine these into an audience when you're using Facebook or Google. So you can include people who have this set of values or habits or interests and exclude people who live in this geography. It's a very powerful tool to carve out across different factors your ideal target audience. So you might say they live in this area, they're this age and gender, and they like these things and they don't like these other things. The key is to find your ideal customer. Now, a lot of small businesses make the mistake of looking at their current customer base and saying, that's my target audience. No, if you're going to spend money in advertising, you don't necessarily need to advertise to your current customer base. You want to advertise to your ideal customer, the one that's easiest to serve, most profitable, and frankly, most enjoyable. If you're going to take the trouble to start a business, you might as well pick which customers you work with. And that's why I love, for instance, working with communications professionals, because I myself spent 20 years as a journalist and in PR. And so I really feel a lot of commonality with PR professionals and agency owners. So that's kind of a personal preference. I can speak their language. You know, the fact that I was part of a Pulitzer Prize really speaks to what they care about. A lot of small business owners don't even know what a Pulitzer Prize might be. So those are the reasons why, for me, an agency is an ideal customer. Now, one tip I will give you is that it's very easy to define a customer segment that is not findable online. So my favorite example of this is if you sell socks, you would love to know what audience of people have holes in their sock. The problem is there are no Facebook groups for people with holes in their sock. People don't post updates about the fact that they have a hole in their sock. People aren't taking pictures like this of Barbara of Adore Dance Shoes of her hole in her sock. And so even though someone who has a hole in their sock is an ideal customer, they're not necessarily a findable customer online. And so you're going to have to look up you're going to have to use other factors to create your ideal audience. In the case of Google, it might be people searching for, how do I buy new socks online? Or I'd like to see funky socks with cool designs. Those kinds of search terms will likely generate folks who have holes in their sock, so you can find them another way. Now, we remember Megan, the owner of the ghostwriting and book editing business. Her ideal customer was a rich, aspiring memoirist, somebody who wanted to write their own book. And so you can see here the categories that she chose to pick. But one thing that you might say is, if they're an aspiring memoirist, they want to be a writer. Why doesn't she make that a targeting criteria? Well, the reason why is because Facebook doesn't know who aspiring writers are. Aspiring writers don't tend to necessarily self-identify themselves through their behaviors and interests and likes on Facebook. So she discovered that a good proxy for being an aspiring writer is to be really into reading. So here's how she actually did her targeting inside of the Facebook platform. You can see that she looked for people who liked Goodreads, which is a social media platform for book reviews, and the New Yorker, cartoon, or books. People who like the New Yorker or Goodreads or books are very likely to be big into reading and therefore potentially interested in writing. And then you can also see that you have the targeting criteria of the top 5% by income of US zip codes. That's how she figured out that they were rich. Now, we have a trick that you can use to help you figure out who your ideal target audience is. And we call it the "but no one else would" trick. The deal with when you're trying to find a target audience is you don't want it to be too big, otherwise you're hitting a lot of false positives, and you don't want it to be too small, because then there aren't enough eyeballs to actually get people to see your ad. You want it to be just right. Now, there's no perfect number when it comes to potential reach for your ideal audience, but you do need to keep in mind that if you make your ad too broad or too specific, too narrow, you're not going to get the results you want. You want to look for that Goldilocks place. So here's a way to do that. Imagine you owned a golf retail store and you want to find people who want to buy golf equipment. Question then is, what interests would you target? So a lot of times people, when I ask this question, would say, oh, target Tiger Woods. If they like Tiger Woods, they probably are looking to buy golf equipment. Other people will say the PGA, Professional Golf Association, or WPGA, if they're women. Well, the problem with that is that Tiger Woods is too broad. Tiger Woods is a celebrity. He's in People magazine. There are people who follow Tiger Woods who've never watched a golf match in their life, but like watching his life travails and seeing him in the pages of People magazine. He is transcended golf enthusiasts to the general population, and many of them would never buy a golf club from your store. So Tiger, if we target you on Facebook, we just wasted money. Rather than Tiger, target Bubba. Who's Bubba? Exactly. If you don't know who Bubba is, I can pretty much tell you, you are not a golf enthusiast, or you don't have a golf enthusiast in your family. Bubba Watson, it turns out, and I didn't know this because I'm not a golfer, is the best left-handed shot maker in the history of golf. And he's also a guy that only golf enthusiasts would really know. So if you show in Facebook an interest in Bubba Watson, there's a really good chance that you are a golf player, or your spouse or father or mother is. So the way to use this for your own industry is to identify your industry enthusiast will know some superfan term, but no one else would. So a great exercise is to think about, who are the influencers that only people in your industry would know? Or what are the products or services or the trade shows or the professional organizations that only people in your organization would know? We talked about communications professionals. Well, the PRSA, or Public Relations Society of America, is a great example of an organization that only a PR professional would know and nobody else. Why, if you're not in the PR or communications field, would you know what PRSA is? So PRSA is a targeting criteria in Facebook. So you could run an ad for people who have an interest in the Public Relations Society of America, and that's my Bubba Watson. There's also a guy named Michael Smart. He is an influencer in the public relations field. Probably most of you have never heard of him because you're not in communications, but his expertise is in how to pitch media, how to pitch stories. And so if you're interested in pitching, you've probably come across Michael Smart. And so Michael Smart is another example of a targeting criteria, a superfan term, an influencer that your people in your industry, your ideal target customer, would know, but no one else would. Strongly recommend that you take a few minutes of your own time and try to figure, what is the superfan term? Who is the Bubba for your product or service? And there's an amazing free tool inside of Facebook Business Manager that you can use to actually identify your Bubba. It's called Audience Insights. Now, Audience Insights is Facebook's constantly changing its user interface. This is how it looks today in terms of how to find audience insights, but it is tucked away in there is this free tool, Audience Insights, and here's how it works. It allows you to get to compare data from the entirety of everyone on Facebook and see how that compares to your target interests. So for instance, let's imagine you're Eileen and you run a pet shop, and you've noticed that over the years, you have two primary types of customers: people who own Chihuahuas and people who own Rottweilers. And you want to run a Facebook ad to target these people. It's the same pet shop, same product and services are being offered. And so your tendency might be to say, hey, are you a dog owner? Well, come to our pet shop, get a 20% discount. And your campaign will fail. Dog owner is the equivalent of Tiger Woods. Lots of dog enthusiasts who aren't necessarily your ideal target customer, the Chihuahua and the Rottweiler, the folks who spend the most money and come back most often. All right, so you go into Facebook Audience Insights, and all you do is right here at the bottom left, you put the word Chihuahua as their interest. And then it'll populate on the right-hand side what the demographics, what the page likes, what the location, and what the tendency of activity is of people who've expressed an interest on Facebook in Chihuahuas. So in the case of here, you'll see that the average Chihuahua lover is 45 years and above. So let me explain what you're seeing here in this red box. The gray line is the average Facebook user worldwide, the 2 billion users on average. And then the blue box for women and then for men is what the percentage of folks who like Chihuahuas are. And what you'll see is they tend to over-index at the older age ranges, what this means is that if you are 45 or above, you are more likely to like Chihuahuas. That's a really powerful insight that you can use to build your target customer persona. So now we're going to look at the same for Rottweilers. You can see that Rottweiler is the interest in the bottom left, and you can see here that the second you break 35 years old, you're much less likely to have an interest in Rottweilers. So while the Chihuahua is 45 and is 45 and above, the Rottweiler is 34 and below. And that shows you that even though they're both ideal customers for Eileen's Pet Shop, the demographics couldn't be more different. Well, now let's go to the next tab, which is called Page Like. And you'll see that these are the top pages that people who like Chihuahuas tend to like. So you'll see that the page I Love My Chihuahua, people who like Chihuahuas are 523 times more likely to like that Facebook page than the average Facebook user. So they all kind of were obvious until I got to Norbert. And I'm like, who is Norbert? That page, Chihuahua lovers are 139 times more likely to like it. Well, here is Norbert. So that is an influencer for Chihuahua lovers, Norbert. And you can see if Norbert's owner would allow you to post an ad or a post on his page. You can post updates to that page, and you'll see what you'll see other Chihuahua lovers will likely see it. The Chihuahua lovers congregate with Norbert, and Norbert is an influencer for Chihuahua lovers and Chihuahua owners. Now let's do the same for Rottweiler lovers. Rottweiler lovers love a page called Psychotic. All right, well, let's look at, they also happen to like pit bulls, you can see. So let's look at Psychotic. All right, this is like the anti-Norbert. This is the page that people who love Rottweilers love. They love Psychotic. My point here is it's one pet shop, one sets of products and services, two ideal customers who could not be more different, and both of them need to be targeted. Do you see why you need to have different ads to target each of them? One for Rottweiler lovers that's a little bit harder core, and one for Chihuahua lovers it's a little cuddlier and softer. You can imagine the video and the messaging that accompany them are completely different. And if you imagine that, then you're thinking the right way about targeting your ideal customer. Now, this is obviously a kind of trivial example of a pet shop, but this is the insight that allowed Cambridge Analytica to change the 2016 election. The description of what they did is in this book by Christopher Wiley. And what they did is they leveraged Facebook audience targeting criteria to find folks who are more likely to be amenable to the alt-right and to conservative and ultimately to Donald Trump's presidency. And one of the amazing findings is that they found that people who tend to like the alt-right have a very high likelihood to like Adam Sandler movies. Adam Sandler movies? Well, first of all, I'm not on the alt-right, but I love Adam Sandler movies. What's the deal with that? Well, it turns out that Adam Sandler movies, if you think about them, are very formulaic around boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back. They're very gender normative. They're very safe and traditional in terms of their humor. And people in the alt-right like to laugh just like anybody else. So it turns out that Adam Sandler movies are part of a constellation of interests that tend to identify that audience, that ideal target audience for the Donald Trump campaign. One of the strongest predictors in that constellation of interests is childhood corporal punishment or spanking. So if you're someone who is in favor of spanking and say so on Facebook, that is a very strong indicator that you're going to be sympathetic to the alt-right and to the conservative messaging. So it's not any single interest, but a constellation of interests that help you really find and narrow down targeting your ideal customer. So I'm going to now take your questions.
Jimena, oh, there's Jarvis. Good. Jimena had a question, but you just answered with what you said then. So thank you.
So let me unmute you. Okay.
Yeah, so should we start the ads on Facebook with the audience insights, build the audience insights first before creating the collateral for the ads?
Yeah, so my recommendation is that you use audience insights to do your audience segmentation and to build your customer personas, and to combine it with old-fashioned interviews of customers. So what I would recommend is you think about, first start, Jarvis, by asking, who is the favorite customer that I've ever worked with? Who was easy to serve, had high margins, loved my product or service?
Your power user.
Yeah, who's your ideal customer, your ideal user? And then go and talk to that person and ask them about their interests, what TV shows do they like, what do they do? And then take that and then apply it into Facebook Audience Insights and see if you can't begin to find what targeting criteria most resemble your ideal customer. Now, here's one thing I'll tell you. People don't always share all the relevant targeting criteria. First of all, because they don't know, right? So they're not always hiding from you, but sometimes they are. People want to tell you what they do at night when they are surfing the internet. Facebook captures that data, applies it back to personas, and it gives you the opportunity to find your ideal customer. I'm gonna thank you for your question, Jarvis. Jimena, thank you for joining us, and feel free to ask your question. And who's the little one?
Oh, hi, this is Leo. Yeah, I'm working from home with a newborn. Anyhow,
What's your name? Your company?
His name is Leonardo.
And your name?
Jimena.
Great. And tell me about your company real quick.
Well, our company is called De La Selva, and it's actually from Bolivia, but we are opening a new company here. I can't give you too many details because it's still a project.
Oops. You got muted. Hang on.
We have a
Jimena, if you don't mind, would you just start over? Just say your name, your title, introduce your son, and then you can go and ask your question.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm Jimena Tejada. This is my son Leo. I'm the all hats. I don't know. I don't have a title because it's me and my brother's company, and we do everything, marketing, pretty much everything. Our company is De La Selva. It's a company that produces hard-to farms and tons of other canned foods. We're gonna open a company here in the US, but my question is, one of our biggest competitors, it's huge. It's the same product that we have. My question is, how do you target your audience so they can go to you instead to them? Like, do you use your social responsibility, or do you like, what can I do to differentiate ourselves from them, being a small company?
Jimena, this is such an important question. When you are limited in time and resources, when you have no budget to brand, right? When you're going up against really well-heeled, well-established competitors, what do you do? And the answer is actually really simple, which is you tell your business story. You talk about why the business that you're running is personally meaningful to you and to your brother, and why you are dedicated to taking this giant risk, right? To starting a program when you have a newborn, right? To to giving up the easy paycheck and giving up the easy life because you want to put this business in the world, and why you are hell-bent and dead set on doing that. being able to articulate that becomes your unique selling proposition, becomes your value proposition, becomes the foundation of your marketing and your selling. And so once they trust you, they trust your integrity, they understand your why, they're going to be much more amenable to your product or service. And then you don't have to make it cheaper, right? You're not selling your product because it's cheaper. You're selling your product because of Jimena and her integrity and the fact that she's willing to risk everything for it. And no competitor of yours will ever be able to compete with that. And it's all you got. It's all you got, right? Like if you're a small business and you don't have a budget, you don't have a history, you don't have a brand that anybody's ever heard of, and you might not even have a product or service, what else do you have but your story? And you know what? People will buy it. People will buy it. So thank you so much for your question. It's a beautiful one and an important one. You know, we love working with businesses that are limited in time and budget because the storytelling approach is the best way to succeed.
Yes, and like I said, our company is based in Bolivia, and we are very well known there. But you know, we're gonna bring it here to the US, where the market is huge, and you know, it's a totally different market. I mean, a totally different campaign. I mean, it's just pretty much starting from zero.
Yeah. Bueno, te deseo toda la suerte en el mundo y está intentando de conocer a tu hijo.
Gracias.
Thank you. I just said that I wish her all the best in growing her business and wanted to say that I loved meeting her son. All right, I'm going to share my screen now again, and we're going to go on to pillar number 3. Pillar number 3 of 5 is the irresistible offer. So the key to any successful marketing campaign is identifying your target audience and giving them an irresistible offer. And this idea of irresistible offer is one that I learned from a great book by Mark Joyner, and he defines the irresistible offer at the business level in this way. The irresistible offer for a business is an identity building offer central to a product, service, or company, where the believable return on investment is communicated so clearly and efficiently that it's immediately apparent you'd have to be a fool to pass it up. So I'll give you a great example of BizHack's irresistible offer. On average, in 2019, businesses that went through the BizHack 5-week program made $29 in ad revenue for every $1 in advertising that they spent. I'm sorry, let me say that again. In 2019, the average business that went through the BizHack 5-week program made $29 in incremental revenue for every $1 in advertising they spent while in the course. They paid the tuition for the course on average 3 times over within 1 month of graduating. That is an irresistible offer. This is a course that literally pays for itself. And how many other training programs can make that claim? So that's BizHack's irresistible offer. But that is not enough. That's not enough for a Facebook ad, because what you're really trying to do is get them to click. And so what we then talk about in our BizHack lead building system is the free irresistible offer. This is the subset of the overall company-wide offer that gets people to actually give you their contact information. So if I were to put a price on this, would someone pay for it? That is a good benchmark for a free irresistible offer. The purpose of a free irresistible offer is to motivate someone to give you their contact information. We call this a lead, and digital marketing is at its essence about turning website visitors or social media engagement into leads, into phone numbers and email addresses, because otherwise, how else are you going to close them? Now, there are some businesses that transact online, e-commerce businesses and others, but they represent a tiny fraction, a minority of most businesses. Most businesses do business person to person, whether it's via email, by phone, or in person when it's safe. So because of that, getting their contact information is a critical step in the buyer's journey. So here are some examples of free irresistible offers that folks use. You could use a discount, right? 20% off, buy one, get one free. You could use a white paper. Here are the 5 pillars of every digital campaign. You could do a free consultation. Meet with me for 30 minutes and I'll talk to you about how to generate more leads for your business. You could do a sales demo, which is like I have an info session coming up and come to my info session. You could do a quiz or a survey where you ask them to tell, it's like, what kind of Disney princess are you? What kind of digital marketer are you? And you give them a series of questions and qualify them in the process. You can give them a free gift. If you come to this session, you will get access to this bonus course. You can do a live event or a webinar like BizHack's BizHack Live series, where we have free live events every Wednesday. Or you could offer them a recording of the same. So these are all examples of free irresistible offers that we see all the time. And you need to try out different offers, test them, and see which ones work the best. Ultimately, your goal here is not to make money, right? Because it's free. You're losing money on the first sale, but you're trying to get them to become aware of your brand, get in touch with you, have a person-to-person in contact, and then you try to hook them for the longer term. So Megan's offer was a free 30-minute consultation to talk to a to talk to a professional book editor. And the thing that I think actually led to her great results was she knew these rich aspiring memoirists were doing this for ego reasons, right? And they had the choice of whether to self-publish or to go through a traditional publishing route. The traditional publishing route is slower, it's less expensive, and a lot of these folks probably are like, wow, I should just self-publish. Well, they probably are wondering whether that's the right decision, whether the easier path is the better path. And they really responded to Megan's offer to sit down with them for 30 minutes and talk to them about the benefits and the drawbacks of self-publishing versus traditional publishing. It was a great offer. So if you are going to offer a 30-minute consultation, do not make it just a veiled sales pitch. Make sure that you're giving them value during those 30 minutes. And if you give them value during those 30 minutes, they're much more likely to want to hire you. So I'm going to take your questions.
We don't have questions at the moment, but if somebody wants to ask, make sure that you turn on your video and unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. So for example, in the blockchain world, will giving a free wallet install lesson, would that be something of value? Would that qualify?
Absolutely. So anything that's free that the participant would be willing to pay for is an amazing free irresistible offer for that target audience. The other thing that I would have you think about is the type of person that would take you up on that free offer should be your ideal customer. So for instance, if I were going to do a white paper, I would not do a white paper saying the 5 key tools to marketing your small business. Rather, I would say the 5 pillars to marketing your public relations agency, or the 5 pillars for marketing your home services company, or even the 5 pillars for marketing your pet, the 5 pillars for marketing your pest control business. Because now I know that the only person that would ever click on a white paper like that is a pest control company. They've kind of self-qualified themselves. And then you just have 30 different campaigns where you just do find, replace, pest control company with other target audience, and then you can have the same white paper, but each of those are different Facebook campaigns with different targeting criteria. In the case of Eileen's pet shop, you would say, the 5 things a Rottweiler owner needs to know to make his dog fierce. And another white paper would be the 5 things a Chihuahua owner needs to know to make his dog or her dog fluffy, right? So you know that only the people who take that free irresistible offer are going to be qualified. Otherwise, you're going to just be wasting a lot of money giving your time or your products away.
Michael Pearson, if you're able to unmute yourself, there you go.
So I was saying the host was not allowing folks to unmute. Anyway, my name is Michael Pearson with the Alliance for Aging again. And I know we talked a little bit before about how nonprofits oftentimes have different segmentation. We have the people that we serve, and then we have the people who buy or donate to our organization. And so with that in mind, can you kind of walk through the process for coming up with an irresistible offer for a nonprofit, specifically for our potential donors?
Absolutely. So nonprofits actually are selling something a little bit challenging, right? For their donors, they're selling the feeling of being supporting of a good cause. And so what I've learned by working with lots of nonprofits is what you're actually selling is community. You're selling the ability to be a part of a community of like-minded people. And that is the gift that you're offering. So when I worked at NPR, for instance, at the NPR station in Miami, what we were saying is when you donate to WLRN, you are telling us that you are part of a community of listeners. And the feeling of being part of that community is worth more to these folks than any product or service, any giveaway you could give. It's that feeling of knowing that when you go to a fundraiser or that when you donate to a cause, there are all of these other donors that are part of a community of giving that you are a part of. And that is the product, Michael, that you're selling. Now, on the other side of that is the actual service you're providing. And you need to sell that too. You need to have participants who are recipients of your service. That's the other side of your marketing challenge, and why I think nonprofits are having the hardest challenge of all, because selling community is not easy. And then you have two audiences that you need to target and often very little funding. One of the biggest mistakes that nonprofits make is they do not ask explicitly for programmatic marketing funding. And grant providers often don't give it even if you ask. And this is a huge error and a reason why so many nonprofits have amazing programs that nobody attend. And it's an industry-wide problem. Learning marketing the way that we teach it can really unlock not only donations, but a bigger impact by serving more people. Thanks so much for your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Perfect. We'll get started now. I'm going to share my screen. All right. We're on to pillar 4. Pillar 4 of a digital campaign is creating a thumb-stopping video. So what the heck do I mean by a thumb-stopping video? Well, when you are scrolling down a website, I'm sorry, let me start over. Pillar number 4 is create a thumb-stopping video. I actually learned the term thumb-stopping video when I was talking to Facebook and getting coached when I was first learning how to teach this. And they talk about a thumb-stopping video is when you're scrolling on Facebook, you actually stop on a video to watch it. So you're scrolling, and then you stop. That's thumb-stopping. Now, the reason why it's so important to think about videos for mobile is because the vast majority of people consume content on Facebook and Instagram and Messenger using their mobile phone. Even during this time of the pandemic, when a lot of people were stuck at home and in front of computers, they still consume Facebook as many as 8 times a day on average, but primarily with their phone. So when you think about Facebook as an advertising platform, you must really think about it as a mobile advertising platform. This is so important that Facebook does not even partner with desktop websites for its Facebook Audience Network. All of the partners in Facebook Audience Network are mobile websites, websites that appear online, and all of their ads are optimized for mobile. So how do you create a thumb-stopping video? Well, that is obviously an incredibly difficult question to answer in the general, but there is one thing that you can use, which is the video creation kit inside of Facebook. Remember how I told you earlier that you can create a video in 30 minutes for free? Well, here's how you do it. You go into the video creation kit, which is a free tool inside of Facebook Business Manager. Again, Facebook Business Manager is where you build ads in Facebook. This is not something you can access just through your business page. You have to go to business.facebook.com to access Business Manager. And in there, in the video creation kit, you can create square or vertical videos. You pick a template, you add photos. You can see it says 2 to 5 images. And then you can even add text, and you basically get what they call a video, which is really just a photo slideshow. And you know what? It's just as effective as a video, and it's way easier and cheaper to build. So all you need are a couple words and some static images, and within minutes, for free, you can create a video. Now, we have some other tools that we love to recommend, third-party tools, Lumen 5, Lumen 5.com, and another one which is spectacular is Canva, Canva.com. These tools, which Lumen 5 is specifically for creating videos. Canva is just this all-in-one graphic design suite, and they have added the ability to create video slideshows. You can also, by the way, incorporate little snippets of video into your video. So you can either use static images, or you could use a slideshow of video snippets. And all of those platforms have massive libraries of content that you can use without having to pay for the copyright. So they have massive Creative Commons videos that you can actually, and images you can leverage to create your video. So all the assets are there. You don't even need to have your own photos, although having your own photos will get you better results. So we definitely recommend that where possible. Megan created this video. She used some of the generic content that was available on Lumen 5 in this case, and she used text. You might need a helping hand to talk to that rich, aspiring memoirist about her book writing business. Now, Creative Hub is another free tool like Audience Insights inside of there, and you can create mock-ups of your ad, including the video like I showed you inside of Creative Hub. It's a very powerful tool, and it's a great way for you to practice without spending money, building ads. So I'll take your questions.
People are asking if you can repeat the websites that you just mentioned, and I'm
Sure.
also copying them in the chat.
So the two websites that I mentioned are lumen5.com, Lumen 5, the digit 5.com, and canva.com. Canva is an all-in-one graphic design tool. You basically pull examples of graphics that are created by other companies and then just swap your colors and logo, and voila. And Lumen 5 is specifically built for creating videos out of still images or short video snippets. And both of them will create a video for you for your ad of 12 to 15 seconds when you get good at it, under 30 minutes.
Also, Dan was referring to the Facebook Insights.
Right.
Cool.
So Facebook Business Insights is another tool, another free tool inside of Facebook. Would love one question on video. If anybody is willing to be my guinea pig.
Jacqueline, you raised your hand. You want to ask a question about video? Go ahead.
So he asked for a guinea pig. I'm up for that if no one else is. And also, if you wanted to use someone that hasn't been used before.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I had a drop the mic moment with you before. I can't do better than that. So yeah, if there's anybody else, thank you, Jacqueline, for being so generous. Is there anyone else who might be willing to step in the breach and maybe offer a question? Someone I haven't heard from, please. I see some familiar names here, so if you don't mind, You know, Nathan, I know you do some great work with video. Ruth Ann. Monica, Jackie is saying Monica should do it. So, Terry, thank you. You saved me.
I do have a question.
Say your name and your company.
My name's Terry Page, and my company is Faces International. I create little, I call them crazy little kind of emoji faces for kids that have motivational words underneath, like empower, courage, beautiful. And I was just kind of ask a blank question, but I do have a two segmented market, the parents and the kids. So the question would be, and it's related to me, but people who possibly have those, as in the nonprofit is one that has the two segmented. Who do you focus the video to?
It's a great question, Terry. A lot of us are wondering, I have multiple audiences that I could target. Which one do I start with? And there are a couple different ways to answer this question. One is what I talked about earlier about the ideal customer, right? Who do you make the most money off of? Who do you enjoy serving the most? Who, if in your dreams, would all of your clients be most like? Start with that one. Now, the other way you could approach this is you could create two campaigns, one targeting one of the audiences, the other targeting the other, and see who responds more to your messaging. Now, just keep in mind that you don't want to give them the same video. So in the example of Eileen's Pet Shop, you might target Rottweiler owners and Chihuahua owners and see which one of them are more responsive to your video campaign, and then double down on them with your retargeting ad, with your second ad.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bigger lesson here, Terry, and I love the question, which is test and learn, right? There are no right answers. And by the way, if I'd come to you and I said, oh, definitely this audience or definitely that audience, you should take what I say for a grain of salt, because it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't even matter what you think. What matters is when you go out and you put in a real ad in real life with a real audience, what they respond to, what they teach you, what they think. So it doesn't matter what you think. And this makes things a lot easier, by the way, because rather than trying to think your way to success, test your way to success.
And that's what's so difficult for mine. I've taken the Start Your Business with the Idea Center, and I'm taking the Marketing Secrets now. And I have kind of done mine in the normal order of reverse. I created my website. I didn't realize that I was testing my market, but because I had made samples of the shirts, I get such favorable responses from both, from kids, which is really my audience, but the kids don't purchase, it's the parents. And the parents have equally the same. So it's like I'm in a good quandary in that I have good responses from both. So
Harry, I'm here to tell you that what you're experiencing is super common. Any business that targets children under the age of 18 has to market to their parents on Facebook. However, if you can get good at creating content on things like Snapchat or especially TikTok that's responsive to and interesting to that younger audience demographic, they're going to be your best salesperson. They're going to go and tell their parents, hey, I want this. If they see their friends sharing on social media, they're going to then tell their parents, hey, I want this. You know, the same concept for folks in the elder care industry. Everybody who works with older folks tells me that they're actually selling to their younger children. They're selling to their children who are then doing the purchasing on their behalf. So this purchasing decision, and it's not any different than the wives who are buying for their husbands. So a lot of us have a very similar marketing challenge, Terry, which is you're trying to market directly to the beneficiary and then the spouse or child or parent of the beneficiary as well. And you have to market to both, and the campaigns couldn't look more different. Thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. And thank you for stepping into the breach when no one else had a question. I really appreciate it. We're now on to pillar number 5, which is a compelling message. And now that we've figured out what our objective is, who our audience is, what the irresistible offer is going to be, and what video is going to accompany it, crafting that compelling message is much simpler than you might imagine. It is really just a few words, less than 25 words, in fact. The primary text, the headline, the description. We do recommend you include the website URL. The display link is, if you have an ugly URL for your website, you can simplify it in the display link. It'll still go to the right place. So you can use that as a piece of marketing. So a great example for BizHack is I love to use, instead of www.bizhack.com, I love to use try.bizhack.com in my URLs. It's like a little call to action inside of the URL, and every little thing helps. And then the call to action button and learn more is often the most common, but it could be buy now, it could be sign up. There are a variety of different call to action buttons you get to choose from. It's a prescribed set of buttons. Now, the other thing that Facebook allows you to do, which I really think is cool, is you can actually give them multiple sets of text or headline or descriptions, and then they will test those different those different headlines against different audiences and see which one gets the best results. So you could write 3, 4, even 5 different headlines, and then Facebook will automatically, through machine learning, optimize which headline is getting you the best results. So this is a great tactic. If you're not really sure what kind of messaging is going to work best, you can create a little test, sometimes called an A/B or ABC test, where you're trying A, B, C different headlines and then seeing which one works best. Now, I wouldn't go nuts with this. For instance, you can use multiple videos, right? So you can test different videos at the same time, do multiple headlines at the same time, multiple descriptions at the same time. But if you try to do multiple of each at the same time, you're creating an exponential amount of possibilities. And if you're using a small budget, like I recommend, you're not going to get meaningful results. So I would say just stick with a couple different headlines. The headline is the line that appears underneath the video in the ad, and see which one gets you the best results. And then use that knowledge to craft your next campaign. Don't try to overdo it with the automatic testing tool inside of Facebook. So Megan, her message was simple. Even though she is a writer, she did a good job editing herself. She only used 14 words in her ad, and it was helping people bring their stories to life on the written page. Her offer was a free phone consultation, and then her call to action was learn more. So that's messaging. This is a big topic, copywriting, how to craft your unique selling proposition. But when it comes to a Facebook ad, less is more. You want to pair it with your offer and compel people to, and your video, and compel people to just click that button or watch that video, which is really the goal. So I'll take your questions. Nathan, if you're there, I'll take your question if you have one. So we're talking right now about compelling messaging. And I know compelling messaging is a really tough one for folks because many of us are not writers and we don't really know what the most compelling message is going to be. It's not what we're good at. And thank you guys all for sticking around. We're gonna, Ruth Ann, if you're able to, I'd love to hear your question on compelling messaging.
I just never really know, how to give it that punch that people really can't resist. That's the resistance. I mean, I can think of lots of things that.
Ruth Ann, I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you be able to turn on your video? And even if you're not able to, could you say your name and your company?
Sorry. Hi, I'm Ruth Ann Smith, and my company is Lucky Braids. I committed to raising the bar of horsemanship. And I can think of lots of things that people might like or respond to, but I always get tripped up on that irresistible element. What could they not pass up? Sometimes I don't have that much of a margin on my product. So does 10%, does that tickle their fancy if I give them a little information, or like what really turns heads?
Well, Ruth Ann, what product do you sell? Oops. No, I know the answer to that. I'm going to ask you to unmute again. Stay unmuted if you could. So Ruth Ann, what product do you sell?
I sell products for grooming products, primarily coat care products and braiding products for horses, braiding their manes and tails.
Got it. So, I prefer when you're looking for irresistible offers to avoid as much as possible discounts or giveaways where possible. Rather, I like, at least to start, to give away information. So for instance, if you do horse hair braiding, you might offer 5 tips to braiding your horse's hair beautifully. Or if you offer horse hair, braiding, you could say, I'm hosting a masterclass in how to braid a horse's hair. Come join me for a live feed and I will show you in real time how I'm braiding this horse's hair. The type of person who'd be interested in learning from you how to braid horse hair might also be the type of person that would hire you to do that service for their horse. So those are examples of ways in which you can use a webinar or an event or even a white paper rather than a discount. Because since your margins are tight, the discounts might not be that compelling. Frankly, you are compelling. Your story is compelling. Seeing you talk with passion about the work you do with horses is compelling. And the 10%, that's nice to have, but it's not as compelling as you talking. And so I really believe that, what you're trying to do with this Facebook ad is get them to know you and interact with you. And then once they've done that, that will actually make you more likely to actually be able to sell them on their product without having to discount it.
Thanks.
No problem. And since you have the video on, would you mind just going ahead and saying your name again and asking the question, and we'll just splice it?
My name is Ruth Ann Smith. My company is Lucky Braids, and I just always deliberate over what is the irresistible offer that people want that they're going to jump at.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for that, Terry. I appreciate it. And thank you, Ruth Ann. Very much appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. So we're kind of coming to the end. Thanks again for sticking around. Now I want to put the 5 pillars all together. So you'll remember Megan was selling her ghostwriting services to rich aspiring memoirists. You can see here is her thumb-stopping video, her compelling messaging. It leads because it's a lead generation campaign objective. That was pillar 1 to this lead form. This is her free irresistible offer, pillar 3, and they are invited to enter their email address and their phone number. The audience, as you'll recall, was the rich aspiring memoirist, the person who likes to read. And these are her actual results. She spent $429 in advertising, got 16,000 impressions. That's 16,000 people scrolled past the video. 190 of them were compelled to click on the call to action button. 13 of them filled out the form, gave their contact information, and 7 actually were closed. So more than 50% of the leads that she got actually became clients. That 7 folks led to $105,000 in revenue and a return on ad spend of 244x. That's $244 in revenue for every $1 she spent in ads. And what Megan said to me is that just over the course of 12 weeks, I built an online platform from scratch, launched a marketing campaign, and got enough clients to keep me busy through the next year. I gained the power to choose, to schedule my time. I gained the power, I'll start over. In just 12 weeks, I built an online platform from scratch, launched a marketing campaign, and got enough clients to keep me busy through the next year. I gained the power to schedule my time on my terms and to choose which projects I want to work on. That freedom of choice is priceless. And that is exactly why I do what I do. I have found freedom in my life through digital marketing. It's allowed me to advance in my career after I lost my job as a journalist. It's allowed me to grow the business doing stuff that I love. And it has become my passion to give that freedom to entrepreneurs and business owners everywhere. I want you to be able to pick which customers you work with, for you to be able to decide how quickly you grow your business so that you can still have a life and spend time with your family. And ultimately, I want you to realize that dream of freedom that led you to start your business in the first place and give up the easy path that we know we all could be on. Ultimately, what we're looking for in BizHack is to transform your career and your life through the skill set and mindset of digital marketing. And it's the honor of a lifetime for me to be working with hundreds of small businesses like you in taking your limited time and your limited budget and making it go as far as possible so you can achieve your dreams too. Thanks so much. So we'll skip this. So I wanted to just do a quick bonus lesson and then we will wrap it up. So I did want to address kind of the big question that might be hanging over the head of some of you who have been watching this lesson, which is, so I wanted to address one of the biggest questions that I get from business owners that are considering whether they should dive into learning digital marketing themselves so that they can market their own business or hire folks to market it for them. And these are the top reasons why folks must learn digital marketing, particularly in the era of COVID-19. Most businesses right now are forecasting a significant decline in their operating budget, in their revenue in the coming months due to the economic downturn from COVID-19. Hundreds of thousands of businesses may end up closing their shuttering their doors because of this pandemic and the economic downturn. And so learning digital marketing, which was kind of a nice to know before, now is a must for business owners. Quickly, it's become the only way to sell to strangers. So you used to be able to go to trade shows, to meetings, you could have coffee with folks, you could go to chamber meetings, you could meet people in so many different ways, in person, at networking events, and all of that has been shut down. It's no longer safe to do that. So you have to rely on digital channels in order for you to meet and sell to strangers. Digital is more scalable than nose-to-nose networking. You are limited in terms of your time and your ability to be in multiple places. One of the greatest discoveries that I had when I converted from an in-person training academy before COVID to an online training academy after COVID is that I was able to have a weekly speaker series and have dozens, if not hundreds of people show up week after week through the power of the video conference, through the power of digital. It makes my business far more scalable, and I now sell internationally rather than in-person training, which was done just to local folks. Now, a lot of folks say marketing is a headache, marketing is something I don't enjoy, marketing is something that I don't understand, and they try to outsource it to an agency or the younger cousin. They'll say, hey, just run the social media for me. And I gotta tell you that that is a recipe for failure. Digital marketing and marketing in general is not a cost center, it is an engine of growth. And you do not want to outsource and not be involved with and not understand your growth engine. You need to know how to set a strategy, how to hire a team, and how to manage and evaluate their results. And if you do not have that basic knowledge, you cannot be successful as a business owner in the 21st century. Every business needs a multi-channel approach to survive. I know I've been speaking mostly about Facebook advertising, but I'm here to tell you that Facebook advertising is not a panacea. It will not solve all of your marketing challenges. You need to complement that with Google advertising, Google search engine optimization, content marketing, email marketing, and yes, even old-fashioned billboard advertising and direct mail, and even TV and radio ads. It's a multi-channel approach. There's got to be a lot of different ways that people learn about you and discover you. It takes, on average, 7 touches for your brand to register with a potential customer and 18 touches before they become a customer of you. So it takes 7 touches just for them to even recognize your brand, and 18 touches on average before they're willing to open their wallet and spend money with you. The more channels you have, email, website, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, the more ways you're touching them, the more likely they are to know who you are and to want to do business with you. And then finally, a business owner knows best which audience and offer will work. As I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned in the earlier lesson, the audience is the most important pillar, and offer comes right behind it. If you know who your target audience is and what an irresistible offer will be, you are going to be successful. And nobody but a business owner knows that. They've been doing the business, they know their customers, they know what they'll respond to. And so that insight, that strategy is not going to come from an agency or a junior employee. That's going to come when you're small from the business owner themselves. It takes a lot of time to learn a business, and you want to be making sure that you're driving your offer and audience targeting strategy for the business until you're able to hire and train people to do it for you. So I want to open it up to questions. Is there anybody who wants to understand why marketing is critical for every small business in today's environment? Hutch, if you're still there, I'd love to invite you to jump in. Happy to hear from you. Terry Page, I know that you had been active as well. If you'd like to jump in now, that would be great. This will be our last question, and then we'll wrap up. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me.
Arila, you have also a question. If you're able to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Dan.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for the presentation. It's been really great. I have a question that is, I'm sorry. I have a question about nothing to do about the.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you just say your name and your business, and then you can ask your question?
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Cirilla Suarza, and I am the owner of Nuts Plus Nuts. We are a handcrafted roasted cashew and almond that works directly with farmers around the world. So my question is about the budget. So you mentioned earlier that the budget is about $50, to start. However, if I want to do the lifetime ad, say for a month, so are you calculating $50 for the whole thing, or is it by the day?
It's an excellent question. Thank you, Cirilla. So we recommend a short initial campaign when you're getting started with a $50 spend that runs no more than 4 days to a week. So it's roughly about $10 a day. So if you want to do it for a month, then that budget should probably look a little closer to $300 just to get started. But here's what I would say is I wouldn't start with a new video for that long, because you'll know within a couple of days if the video is working, and then you're starting, and if it's not working, you're spending good money after bad. So what I would recommend is take a video that's new, test it with the audience, and if you're getting a great result, then run it again with a larger budget rather than running it for 30 days. You don't need that long to test and learn.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dan.
Since I had
Appreciate it.
you, would you mind just asking a question about like more along like why a business owner would need to know this? And if you could just say your name and you know, you obviously have been thinking about this a lot and you've been attending a lot of our BizHack Live sessions. You clearly
Yes.
are interested. So if you could just talk from your own perspective about why you've gotten interested and ask a question attached to it. Just say your name, your company, and then ask that.
So the question about why marketing is very important, digital marketing is important for business, or the question about the budget?
For a business owner, exactly. Why digital marketing is important for a business owner.
Okay. Hello again. My name is Cirilla, and I'm a woman-owned, handcrafted roasted cashews and almonds that works directly with farmers around the world. I truly believe that digital marketing is the way to go now, especially after COVID. As a small business owner, I have to pivot my company completely because I'm in the hospitality, minibar, corporate events, and that's totally gone. So I have to start all over pretty much. And I forgot how I found you, Dan, but your webinar has truly helped me. And I know we've been in touch, and I have gone through a lot of your sessions. However, I just couldn't really, take the course. It's just because I have been struggling with the monetary part. It's been really tough for me. But I'm actually thinking about signing up for your next one that's starting. It's actually after this course because after this webinar, because I think it's just I think as a business owner, time is money. And I mean, it's true what Dan is saying, that by hiring agencies, they might not know what your business intention, what is the core and the soul of your business. So I think by you doing it yourself in the beginning, by with a teacher, by signing up with the course, it saves you a lot of time because they tell you everything what you needed to do, and at the same time you got the guidance from somebody's expertise and get the result from there.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and for the kind words. And what I would say to you, Cirilla, is your most precious commodity is your time. Your most precious commodity is your time. And so if you can find ways to save time to make more money, then that's what BizHack is dedicated to doing. Is we want to shortcut the painful learning process. I had mentioned that it took me 5 years to learn what I've compressed into 5 weeks. And we are constantly refining and improving the BizHack lead building system as we learn more from companies like yours. And so I really thank you for your continued interest and engagement. And we offer, the weekly free webinar BizHack Live series in part because we know that if we can make ourselves a part of your life and a part of your educational journey, when the time is right, when the funding is available, when you're looking for a partner to help you get started with digital marketing and doing so in a cost-effective and efficient way that's focused on serving a small business, you'll think of us first. And we're honored that you're doing that. So thank you so much, Cirilla, and thanks to all of you for participating today in our live lesson, in our live course. So to wrap up, I'm going to just share a couple quick screens and then we will finish. So as I mentioned, the Digital Marketer's Edge is starting on Monday. I would love to have you be a part of it. These were the results last year for businesses that participated in it. A 29-to-1 return on ad spend, a 3.3 return on course fee. These are all the topics we'll cover. We'll talk all about Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, and LinkedIn ads, but we also talk about SEO, pricing strategy, retargeting, business storytelling, of course, customer journey mapping, email, analytics, everything that you would need to know as a small business or micro enterprise. You're going to be earning while you learn, running real ads targeting real people with one-on-one help from experts. and we have a scholarship program. There's an info session on Friday. Apply to the scholarship by going to try.bizhack.com/scholarship. And finally, a parting thought. The Chinese symbol for crisis has two symbols inside of it. One is for danger, the other is for opportunity. The danger right now is manifest. It is so clear that there is danger for life and danger for business. But I also want you to understand that in a time of crisis, there's also opportunity. And one of the best ways to grasp new opportunity is to learn new skills and develop new mindsets. And that is what BizHack's digital marketing training is all about. In enhancing and improving your skill set and your mindset to prepare you to grasp the opportunity that's come in this 21st century despite COVID. So it is with great honor and thanks that I say, grasp the opportunity, and we hope to see you at an upcoming course or webinar. Thank you very much. I'm Dan Grech, CEO and founder of BizHack Academy. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, guys. Yay. Yay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Everybody stuck with us for an hour extra. Maria, thank you. Thank you, Gabrielle, Bab, Bye, Jarvis, thank you. Jacqueline, your questions were phenomenal. Joe, Julia, Leticia, Lucy. You know, this will be part of a course that we're going to offer online, and you guys were our test audience, and we're so grateful to all that you've been and for sticking with us. Nathan, our newest BizHack instructor, thank you. Terry Ray, Jimena, great question. Danny Cabana, thank you. Mr. R, thank you guys all so much. And thank you, Lilia, for making today a huge success. I really appreciate everything that you do. I'm going to go get a glass of water.
You should. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Dan. Great presentation.
Great.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. See you on Friday.